Welcome to Community Voices with Carla Lissa Thorne. And today I have with me Jessica Bayuk. And we're going to be talking about anti-bullying. So welcome, Jessica.
Hi.
So I would love for you to share with us a little bit about your background and just your experience. I know you're obviously a high school student, and a lot of people don't know who you are. So I'd actually like for you to actually start with showing your sash that you have with you and your actual title, because I didn't actually start with that. So show your sash and give your title that you just got.
Okay, I am Miss Frederick's Outstanding Teen 2014 in the Miss America organization, and I'm the teen level, which ranges from 13 to 16.
So what was your inspiration to even want to get involved with something like that?
At first, it was more like it was something on my bucket list, but then after I started the process of preparing myself, which I had to write a platform statement, and my platform is anti-bullying, I learned that winning would only facilitate my ability to go to schools and speak about my experiences with bullying and do things with bullying.
So that's why I wanted to start with that, because I know some people, at least I am obviously older. However, I grew up with some of the same issues with anti-bullying from some of my previous experience, which we're not going to talk about me. This whole interview is about you. So the reason why I want to start with the fact that you're in a pageant, because some people will tie into, well, someone's being a cheerleader or is going to be in a pageant. A lot of people don't like pageants because they think we tie into this whole beauty image thing, and that leads to some bullying. And I know that from obviously talking to your aunt, who was a friend of mine, that you went through a bullying experience which has nothing to do with the pageant that started a long time ago. So I'd love for you to actually share with the audience where your journey with bullying began. So could you share with the audience a little bit about your experience with anti-bullying? And by the way, this is within the school system, so I think this is another thing that I would like to discuss. So can you share your experience with us?
Yes, starting in 7th grade, I came to school every day, and there was a group of 52 guys who kept calling me a name of an animal, and they just always called me that, and then I couldn't go into the hallways without being shouted that that was my name. And I had to be walked around by the principal just to maintain safety for myself. And that lasted until this year, and now I'm in 10th grade, so it's been 4 years, and it's been hard to handle, but I've had my family and my friends, and they've kept me happy and occupied.
Now, what would you say to other teens that I've either thought other thoughts, you know, and I'm also want to put a disclaimer here. Anyone's having negative thoughts or a thought about suicide, please make sure you actually do talk to a parent, a mentor, a counselor, and please do not be afraid to dial 911 or seek out someone or seek out help. But what would you say to some teens who are feeling down or are afraid to talk to their parents or afraid of not going to get help, that they're going to be more retaliated on? What would you say would be some tips and tools to some of those teens to stay strong? What would you say to them?
Well, first I'd tell them that they need to love themselves, for other people to realize that they too should be loved. And it's really hard for teenagers, just because of social media, to have a high confidence level and self-esteem. But if you learn to love yourself and accept yourself, then it'll be easier for other people too as well. Because if you're always just like talking about sad things, then nobody's really going to want to be around you, and I've learned that. And also, just to maintain close friendships, even when you're feeling down, if you just, I learned this somewhere, if you just put a smile on your face, you'll eventually get happy, even if it's a fake smile. So if I'm just like, then eventually I'll start laughing, even if I'm not really that happy.
Well, you know, you just brought up a very valuable tool. Actually, what's happening is when we force a smile on our face, even when we're angry, we're changing the physiology of our body. It's an actual inner thing that actually really happens. So thank you so much for bringing up that tip. That's a thing I always tell clients. So it actually something that really does work. And the other thing you brought up is it's very true. Nobody wants to be around negative people. And that actually is the victim mode energy. So nobody wants to be around a victim. So those are two really valuable tips that you brought up. So thank you for that. Now I also wanted to bring up that I'd heard that, and I don't know if this is true or not, the school did attempt to ask your parents and you to actually change schools. Is that true?
Yes.
And what made you and your family, and obviously I think it was ultimately your decision, what was your basis for choosing to stay?
I learned that I'm going to confront problems everywhere I go, especially when I get older and get into the job world. So I realized that I have to deal with people and I have to overcome my fears, and I'm always going to have to deal with people whether I like it or not. So I just thought I might as well stay and work with what I have rather than go to a new school where there would probably be more problems.
So I have to give you a lot of credit for that, and I hope everyone out there is listening to this message. Here you have a young girl that chose to stay in her school regardless of being bullied or not, and stood on her own 2 feet and stood tall. I think that's a really good message for everyone out there. Don't let people take you out. Don't let people run you away from your school or from any situation. And what would you say to students out there or teens, and I'm going to put this in another way too, is the message you give to the parents. What are some tips and tools, in other words, to the parents? What are things that your parents did to make you feel confident and secure in yourself to, in other words, to stay at your school, to stand tall? So what are some tips that you give out there to the parents?
Well, my parents, when I was getting bullied, they kept me very occupied and they kept me in dance, and they just never really kept me like alone, and it just gave me a sense of security. And they always reassured me, and they always told me, like, Jessica, you're beautiful, like, you have to be confident in yourself, or like I said, nobody will want to be around you. And I had to believe in myself, and they believed in me, so it was very helpful.
Now, what would you say about communication? Do you feel like, did your parents give you the sense that you could tell them anything, you could talk to them about anything? How important is communication between a parent and a child, especially in these type of circumstances?
Communication is so important, especially amongst the family. Because if your parents don't know what's going on, then they can't help you. So, and once I told my parents, they contacted the school, and it slowly but surely ended the issue.
Okay. And now I know you had to get permission for this interview. So how was that for you, having to get permission to do something like this?
It wasn't that difficult. I think being out and spreading my message is what everybody around me wants me to do. They're very supportive of me.
I'm actually really happy. I know this is going to be tricky because obviously you're representing also now as a pageant leader in your community. So the issue of doing that, I think, I'm really actually glad that everyone allowed you to do the interview, and I agree. I think the message of anti-bullying needs to be spread out there, and for people to realize on both sides the damage that it does to young teens, their confidence. And I want to give thanks to your parents as well for giving all the support that you needed, the open communication that you needed. And I really want to thank you so much for standing strong and being a leader out there in your community to other teens to let them know that they should be confident and that they should talk to a parent or whoever it is that they need. Is there anything else that you would like to share to other teens or to other parents?
About bullying?
Yes.
Just one thing that always was in the back of my mind was don't let the bullies win. If they see you sad or upset or crushed, that's them winning. And even if you do on the inside feel crushed or sad, you still have to, like I said, put a smile on your face, go back right into that school and live your everyday life, because there's going to be people everywhere who are going to be bullies. But the only reason that they put you on this pedestal to knock you down is because they're already below you. So you just need to have that confidence in yourself.
There's one thing I'd like to ask you. Throughout the entire pageant experience that you went through, how do you feel this helped you in your confidence or your speaking ability? Do you feel that what you went through actually has helped you become a more confident woman and also help, like you said, I think this is going to be a really good platform for you to actually do your anti-bullying message. Do you think it was a really good experience for you?
Yes, of course. 35% of the pageant scoring is a private interview, and it was actually my first interview, and the feedback to me was that I was kind of very nervous, and it's really helped me a lot because I've gone to many speaking events from winning, and I've learned public speaking skills and also just private speaking skills, how to really get people to connect with you.
So, and the reason why I'm bringing this up too is I know a lot of people are against pageants, and I think we as a society need to learn some boundaries with pageants. That it isn't all about beauty and image. That it can be something that is all about learning communication skills, learning how to communicate, like you said, learning how to connect, and also I think in more pageants use it more as a platform for someone to find their passion or a message that can help, community globally, etc. I think it can be an amazing thing. So I really want to thank you and your parents for everything that you're doing, and I want to thank you so much for joining me and putting the message out there about anti-bullying. So thank you so much, Jessica.
Thank you for having me.
So I will be putting together a blog post and get your message out there for you. And I want you to have a beautiful rest of the evening, just spreading the message of anti-bullying with you. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
So this has been a Community Voices podcast and video, and as usual, I will look forward to seeing everyone next week. Enjoy, and blessings to everyone. Have a great night, everyone.
So